You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Three's a Crowd podcast, the only North East football podcast where you can bring Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Newcastle together, have a bit of banter, have a bit of laugh, and then cuddle it out at the end. That's what we do here every week on Three's a Crowd. We welcome each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us once again. Earlier kickoff, we've got a shorter show as well, so we're going to get straight into it. I'm joined by the one, the only Ted the Mackham. Good morning to you, Teddy boy.
Good morning, sir. Breakfast good, was it? Oh, no.
It's still going.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
I'm speaking of next son. Oh, mate, I tell you what, no, you are a man of simple pleasures. Yeah. I'm all good of you, mate. Sun's shining, been away for a couple of days with Mrs. Ted for her big birthday that isn't the 50th and isn't the 30th. Just a fab few days away in the mountains, mate. It was lovely. Nice to be back.
Mate. Loved it. It was good to see those pictures as well. Though you forgot the reflection in the mirror and we saw a little bit more of Ted than we wanted to. Good morning to you, Stevie boy.
Good morning, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Oh, in a recent podcast, you revealed your association with Floyd Mayweather, and now you're here with us too. Must be feeling like a bit of a downgrade.
No, mate. I'm punching when I'm with you two, lads.
Oh, the bromance of the line.
It's a fantastic podcast. If anyone hasn't checked it out already, I'm sure Stevie can give you the links. But it was a fantastic podcast in the insight into our beautiful bald man that is normally on camera with us, but unfortunately, his good looks have broken his camera once again. But we've got a lot to talk about once again, lads. Football is back in the Premier League. Middlesbrough have played 60 games between you two having 3 weeks off. There he is. He's got it in, snuck it in already.
Get that away from me.
I love that he put it on Ted's side as well. We've got a massive weekend, lads. Lads, let's kick it off. Last night, Premier League football returned. West Ham flogged Wolves 4-0. Can you believe it? And that put Tottenham in the relegation zone. We were having a bit of a chuckle in our WhatsApp group. Just your quick reactions on that one. We were just talking just before we kicked off as well. It's got to be the biggest relegation in Premier League history. I can't think of another time. I mean, maybe when Newcastle came down, Middlesbrough in 2009, that was a top 6 club coming down. I mean, Teddy boy, can you remember a larger moment? I mean, I feel like it's the opposite, but it's still up there with like Leicester winning the Premier League.
Yeah, it's for me. Yeah, it will be the biggest club that's gone down in terms of the Premier League history. Closely, there alongside the likes of Newcastle, Villa. Don't forget, Villa were down there not
Villa,
that long
true,
ago.
Actually, very good point.
So there's big clubs gone down there in the past, and I just think Spurs would struggle, man. If they do go down, they are going to struggle because we all know what the Championship is like. We've all been there in recent times. It gets tougher every season to get out of that league. It really does. So, it's weird. I was saying just before the show, I know Steve doesn't want us to win, but he also wants Spurs to suffer. I'm seeing Newcastle fans actually going, "Oh, go on, do it, beat Spurs." It's mad, absolute madness. But it's, to be honest, they fully deserve it as well, though, because they've ridden this whole, like sort of identity of a big club for so long. I'm not going to bore people by saying the same thing every week, but they've got a small club mentality, mate, and eventually that catches up with you and it bites you on the backside, and they are where they are on merit or lack of therein.
It's going to be very interesting. Steve, I can't remember a larger moment in Premier League history if Tottenham were to go down, slipping into the bottom 3, like we were predicting all for the past couple of weeks here on this show. It's incredible to actually see Tottenham in that bottom 3 now, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that Spurs have been part of that kind of so-called Big Six in the Premier League. So that I think, the fact that I think the gate crashed it because, they got to a Champions League final. Pochettino gave Spurs fans that kind of false hope, and they've never really been a winner. They're not. You've got to go back as far as Newcastle really for Spurs as kind of that would trouble the trophy engravers. But I mean, they had cup final in the 80s, of course, the Ricky Villa final. But I mean, other than that, they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So it's but it is a huge drop, especially if they go down. They're going to have the best. They're going to have the best team in the championship. They've got the best team in the Premiership. It will be a shock. It will be a shock. And like I say, in recent times they've been one of the so-called Big Six, and it will be the biggest shock in a while. I think Newcastle dropping down. Yeah, Newcastle's a big team, but look, we've always been proverbial, like Sunderland, always been proverbial strugglers in the top flight, and always good championship teams, good second division teams who could, were always there or thereabouts in promotion, if not winning the title. So it's, I think Sunderland and Newcastle in that sense are one and the same. But yeah, Spurs, it's going to be interesting. I still think it'll go. I think everything will go to the last game of the season. I would be very surprised if that third and final relegation spot is sorted before the last game. I'll be very surprised if all the European spots are sorted before then, and even the title race could still go to the wire. I still think there's a few more twists and turns in the last 7 games. So,
Is that what you reckon pundits want, though? I mean, that's a dream scenario for Premier League and tickets and viewers and stuff like that, isn't it? I mean, that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tight season this season. I mean, anybody literally can beat anybody. I mean, Sunderland have booked the trend pretty much like Newcastle did when they came up. They've shocked the Premier League. They've come up, they've held their own, and they've managed to give a good account of themselves, and got the magical 40 points with plenty time to spare, and could even push on for a European finish, which would beyond all Sunderland fans' wildest dreams. So, but yeah. I think it hasn't been as exciting in the Premier League this season, but it's been a closer affair. And it's, that's I guess that's what people want. I mean, they love this big build up, don't they? To the final Sunday, the final Premier League game is like a global event. And if you've got lots of different issues to be sorted out, then, the viewing figures are going to be huge for that. So, it's been interesting in that sense anyway,
We could get, Teddy Boy, another sort of recreation of that Man City QPR game. Aguero! I mean that this is the levels that we're shaping up to be for the end of the season, I think. I mean, not only in the Premier League, but for us in the Championship as well. I think it's going to go down to the wire because, I mean, there's only a point that separates us, Ipswich and Millwall now in that for that second place. I think Coventry is sort of there and that done. I mean, they can actually secure promotion today if results went their way. So, I mean, I like it, but as a fan that's involved in this sort of last day shenanigans, though, I hate it. I wish it was done and dusted a couple of months ago. But I mean, I tell you what, it's what makes this beautiful game so beautiful.
Oh, 100%. I mean, first of all, will anything ever top the Aguero thing? For me, that was
remember that
was just unbelievable to watch. And obviously the Sunderland fans giving it to Man United, who thought they'd actually had it in a bag, and seeing the look on Phil Jones' face when he heard the scores coming through. And back in the days when people still took radios to listen to the scores, not just taking a look at their phones, but that's a sign of bygone times. But we don't talk about that anymore, do we?
No, definitely not.
The dark times, I bet he's still watching us, though, isn't he? You little creep. No, listen, I agree with Steve. Which again, a Geordie and I'm doing this is just unheard of, but there you go. It is what it is. No, I agree with them completely. I think, the European places most definitely, that's going to come down to last. And looking at some of the fixtures as well, I mean, we've got Chelsea at home on the last game of the season. That's two sides that could actually be, throwing fists at each other to get into Europe. Of course, it's just going to be a fantastic end of the season. And, as much as we'll come on to Borough, obviously, naturally, but as I said to you, mate, I still think these are going to be all right. It's a dip in form. It's not the nicest set of fixtures that you've had as well at the same time, but honestly, I still back Borough to go up. I think it's just it's a blip. You'll come back into form and you'll be in the Premier League with us next season, mate. Don't worry about that.
It's going to be very interesting. I mean, it's a good segue into Middlesbrough as well, who do play today. It's going to be a massive, massive chance for Middlesbrough to get back on track. We had Kim Helberg yesterday, lads, in the press conference. And I'm pretty sure we're allowed to do this on here. I will quote what he said. I just want to go to the game and win the fucking game. I mean, that's what Kim Hellberg dropped in our press conference yesterday. It was simple as that. I want to go to the Riverside and win the fucking game. And I couldn't have summed it up better myself, Kim. I mean, we've got Portsmouth at home. We had a horrible Easter as Middlesbrough fans. We had the loss to Millwall, which took us out of the top 2. And then we had an ugly draw, lads, against Swansea on Monday, game that we can look back on quickly. 2 penalties given away, 2 obliviate penalties. I've never seen a quicker cameo than probably right from Plymouth than what Bangura did on Monday. It was absolutely incredible. The bloke came back from injury, started in our left-back role, scored an absolute screamer, then gave away a penalty, then tore his hamstring. I mean, this was in the space of about 10 minutes. So, yeah. I mean, I've never seen a bigger impact than what Alex Bangura did for the Borough on Monday. It was incredible. He just came, did his job, gave away a penalty, and then left. It's absolutely incredible. But unfortunately, it did come away with just a point. Kim Hellberg saying that it was a tough opposition to go to. I mean, is there any easy ones in the championship? But we've got Portsmouth today at home at the Riverside, which is going to be a fantastic expression of the low block. We absolutely love that style of football. And Portsmouth will be looking to take another point away from us, if not all 3. Middlesbrough have been shocking at home at the Riverside. But it's a chance. 5 games to go, Stevie Wraith. And you said that you still think, obviously, like agree with Ted, you think we're still going to be there or thereabouts, mate. If it's not obviously top 2, it's into the playoffs for Middlesbrough. We think that's probably secured. But I tell you what, mate, without our stars, you know this all true and well, it's going to be a tough old 5 games to go, and I'm going to be a nervous wreck.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to win these games to have any chance now. I think, like Newcastle need to win probably 6 out of 7. Borough need to win 4 out of 5, I think, to get that position. You've got to beat Ipswich. And I know that's, you don't want to look too far ahead. You've got Portsmouth next. You've got to beat Ipswich if you're serious about finishing in that second place. Millwall did you a favour last night. I was monitoring that game up until a couple of minutes before the end, and they only managed to draw against West Brom, and it's not a great result for Millwall. That so, although they go into second place, it's in Borough's hands again. You beat Portsmouth, and you're putting yourself back in the driving seat. You've got to do that. I did watch that Borough game. It was crazy, and what on earth that he was doing, diving in for that penalty. I mean, you were almost shouting at the television, going, "No!" You could see what he was doing, and it was like, what on earth is he doing here?
Could have broken a monitor.
But it looked more like nerves to me than anything else. It wasn't lack of, obviously you're missing players, you're missing key players, and that's been the story of Borough season. But yeah, you didn't do yourself any favours. You've just got to take into the factor that nerves do come into it, and it's twitchy bum time at the moment. It's who handles that. It's who handles that the best. So you need 3 points today, and then that sets you up nicely for Ipswich. And if you can 6 points in the next 2 games, it changes the dynamics, it changes the mental attitude, and it gives the Borough players belief, and that's what you need, I think, at the moment. What you don't want is the nerves from the crowd filtering onto the pitch and that affecting things. The Borough fans need to be behind Borough more than they've ever been behind Borough in these next 5 games.
No, it's a very, very good shout. And I think the crowd at the Riverside today will reciprocate that as well. Steve, I just want to ask you, in your history, mate, in your long history, have you ever seen a manager swear in a press conference for Newcastle?
Yes. Yes. And of course, everyone will say, I can hear people shouting now, Joe Kinnear. I mean, Joe Kinnear really went absolutely...
Didn't bite his tongue? Yeah.
Bonkers, mate. He went absolutely bonkers at the it was Simon Bird actually who'd asked the question, and the expletives coming out of him were just crazy. I've never heard anything like it in my life as a Newcastle United fan, and I don't think I'll ever hear it again. But yeah, Joe effing Kinnear is the man who stands out by a country mile. By the way, just replying to Stephen there, I didn't see the highlights, but Niamh playing at that level and then playing in the Premier League, 2 completely different things. Stephen, we don't, Eddie Howe, works with Niamh day in, day out, and if he thinks he's ready, I'm sure he'll get the chance.
Same with Middlesbrough. We had big fans of the Aston Villa under-21 performance last night. Everyone calling for George McCormick to come in, but I still think he's just too young and underdone. But we give him time. I think he's going to be a superstar for the Borough. We got a Mash Mariner in the chat here, Teddy Boy, who says, doesn't get any more Sunderland than the whole country watching and backing us for once to beat Spurs and then just like us to fuck it up completely.
I saw that. That is the most Sunderland fan comment ever as well, mind. It's brutally honest. Brutally honest. Yeah. It's our type. The whole nation turns its eyes to Sunderland to go, well, go on then. It's been in the back of my mind as well, going, oh, it'd be the worst thing ever if we did that. Yeah. Great to have the West Ham fan channel with us as well. Love to see that.
We've got everyone on board for that. We've got everyone on Sunderland's back. I tell you what, don't you worry. West Ham fans and everyone alike wanting Sunderland to get a victory. I tell you, no pressure whatsoever. Just on the back of Middlesbrough performances over the Easter weekend there, Teddy Boy. Kim Hellberg yesterday saying that we need to win the effing game today when we arrive at the Riverside Stadium. He didn't put it any... I mean, I think there's a little bit of Australian in him. Unfortunately, it was an Easter that we wanted to forget about, losing to Millwall and an ugly draw to Swansea. You did pop your head in just to check on my situation, making sure there was nothing broken, and I love you for that. But it was an ugly, ugly draw. 2 penalties that were just blatant as anything. I mean, there are some calls for Sol Brynn now as well, much like we had for Patterson last season. At the end of last season, I think for Sunderland, there was some calls for Pato to be dropped or to be replaced. There's the same calls coming in now for Sol Brynn. But I tell you what, Borough just need 3 points today, and that's as simple as that.
It's a bit harsh on Sol Brynn. I think the season he's had, all right, yeah. Form is a weird thing for a goalkeeper. It's the loneliest gig as a footballer, without a shadow of a doubt. When it goes well, you get the Roy Keane comment of, well, it's your job. But obviously, a mistake by a goalkeeper is so much more obvious to spot. So I think it's very harsh on Sol Brynn. I do, however, think that if you do get into the Premier League, that is one of the positions that's got to be immediately looked at. I mean, absolutely no disrespect on the lad whatsoever, but I think he's played above his normal standard for most of the season. He probably never expected even to be number one for this length of time. But because you've got another goalkeeper there who fancies himself as a boxer when he turns his lip up to the manager, I guess that won't happen. So harsh on Sol Brynn, but I kind of understand it. I mean, we've seen Anthony Patterson kind of have to go back to the Championship to start and get some games again and pick up some decent form. By the way, he seems to be very popular amongst Millwall fans as well. He's a good keeper. He's still a young lad as well. I just don't think he's going to be for us. You could do worse than going in for Anthony Patterson, to be fair, mate. We've got somebody in Matty Young who's just playing wonderful stuff at Salford at the minute, and I think that it's curtains for Anthony Patterson, if I'm being brutally honest. Back to Borough, mate. It was. I watched a bit of the game. Obviously, I popped in to say hello to you on the watch along, and
thank you.
It was just strange. I think with the first penalty, I just felt like that was a bit of lacking of match sharpness. When you go in for a tackle like that, you've got to be so certain. As Paolo Maldini said, if you go to ground, you've already made a mistake as a defender. But not everybody's up to the standard of Paolo Maldini. It just took a little bit of it just looked leggy and a bit of it wasn't a lazy tackle or anything like that. It was lacking in sharpness and lacking in awareness a little bit. I thought at that point, I thought he'd actually had a really good game. His goal was superb. And a real shame about the injury as well. What I do not condone, though, and I don't like this at all, there was players, but fans booing him.
Yeah.
After the penalty incident, that's crap. That is absolute crap. You can't have that, man. Get behind the lad. He's sitting third, fourth in the Championship at this current time. Get behind your team, man, because you've got a golden opportunity to get to the absolute promised land of football. So I know it's a minority of fans, and most Borough fans are absolutely behind their team. Do it, and absolutely get behind your lads, 100%.
Yeah, Kim Hellberg said yesterday in his press conference, what strikes him the most as someone that understands or relates to football is seeing the positives from a defeat. And he thinks that's what some of the Middlesbrough fans need to do, but he also thinks the majority of us do is that no matter the result, we can see the positives and the type of football that he's trying to play and the type of tactics he's trying to do, to bring to the Borough, which is going to be, I think, in the long term, very, very good. I just think he needs to be helped in the recruitment side of things in the summer, whether that is Championship or Premier League, we'll tell you. But I think you need to give more assets to a Kim Hellberg sort of style of football. But I absolutely love Kim, and I think I know that I love what he's doing at the Borough, and I think eventually and long term, I think it's the right style of football, especially for the Championship. We've seen the demolition, we've seen the possession stats. I mean, if you're a statistician, look at Middlesbrough's chances created, look at Middlesbrough's possession, look at everything in terms of what football is. We are dominating it. It's just that we're not putting the ball in the back of the net, which is unfortunately what you need to do at all levels. But when we can start doing that on the back of his possession game, I think we're going to be absolutely unstoppable. And I do still like it. Lads, quickly before we get into...
It's a bit like chatting to a bird in a nightclub for most of the night. You see an absolute gleamer over the other side. Yeah. You lay all your best patter on. Steve, I swear to God.
It's done it. He's on form, mate. It's always really is as well. So yeah, you're chatting to this absolute gleamer in the nightclub most of the night, but at the end of the day, if you don't stick the lips on him, mate, it's just going to go off with somebody else, and that's what Borough have got to start doing is start sticking the lips on the opposition. Yep, there's the inspirational words for you today, Borough fans and Borough players. If you are tuning in, make sure you go out and kiss the Portsmouth players on the lips, because anything missed is going to be not worth it. Lads, we got some breaking news this week from Newcastle scenes and from Sunderland scenes as well. I want to quickly touch on Eddie Howe's crucial 3-point plan to convince PIF. We had an article come out by Charlie Bennett. I'm not sure if you're aware of him, Steve, but this was interesting. I had a good read of this, and he was saying David Hopkinson, who's obviously Newcastle's new Canadian CEO, who he said likely could not distinguish a Geordie from a Mackem probably 12 months ago, said that he admitted the Sunderland setback stung, but even him, just after weeks of giving Howe a public show of support, erred on the side of caution when discussing the manager's future last week. We've discussed this in length, mate, but it's a massive, massive 5 games to go for Eddie Howe and what we think might be his future at Newcastle. We saw Kieran Trippier decide to hang up the boots at Newcastle United, not hang up the boots completely. He will be playing on elsewhere. But it was an interesting article just to say, and the summary for this was that this summer for Newcastle United, and Steve, your thoughts, presents their first real test, and that they need to be able to fill their remit.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 7 games to go, right? So we've got slightly more than Borough. But yeah, I mean, look, Eddie's press conference yesterday was his first chance to face the press and discuss the chief executive's comments, which were discussed last week. And he basically said what you would expect him to say. We were analysing it last night on the Three Amigos, and Mitch wasn't overly impressed. Steve probably overanalyzed it by his own admission, and I'm going to have to listen to it again today before I make another NUFC Matters podcast. But he answered the questions. He answered the questions that were given to him about his job. He said he's committed to Newcastle United. He doesn't see himself anywhere else. But he was contradicting himself. He was saying that that he's focused on just the next 7 games. He usually just focuses 1 game at a time. Yeah, he's focusing on the next 7 games. He's not looking ahead. There was a few contradictions in there, but that's what I mean. You could overanalyze what he was saying. He's not spoken to David Hopkinson since they had that meeting a few weeks ago. So. But then people then raise alarm bells. Why isn't he speaking to the CEO? Well, he works day to day with Ross Wilson. He doesn't work day to day with the CEO, so it's not unusual, I guess, for him not to be speaking to the CEO. But he understands that, again, he was asked, is European football, a necessity, a must for Newcastle United? He didn't say it was, but he just says, you have to judge us at the end of the season. So he still believes it's been a good season. And I think if Newcastle can get European football, whether that's Conference League or Europa League, it will, I think the history book, you'll look back and go, that was a good season. We got 16. We got into the last 16 of the Champions League. We got the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Got to the 5th round of the FA Cup, which is no great shakes these days. But we got to Europe, and in a season where we were playing 3 games a week. So really, that's what you look at. You go, that's what you'll be judged on. But yeah, the journalists, I think it was Martin Hardy, put a thing out yesterday saying that Eddie Howe's job was safe, and it was a rehash just of either his notes on that meeting with Hopkinson or his private one-on-one with Hopkinson, like all the journalists got. I think it was a bit of mischief making, I guess, by journalists. Let's put something out now and we'll get bigger hits. Everyone's talked about it. I'll put a different twist on it, a different headline, a different angle. But I think in general, Eddie Howe's job is safe. It's certainly safe till the end of the season. We know that. I think if Newcastle get Europe, I think he'll be here at the start of next season. I think if Newcastle lose 6 out of 7 games, I think there'll be questions asked, and maybe his job will be on the line. But I think Eddie knows it's a big period for him. I think the players know, it's a big period for Eddie as well. So it's in their hands. It really is in their hands now.
It's going to be very interesting, and I think these 7 games.
I've got a question for you, Steve. Sorry, Rye. If you don't mind, mate, just a quick question for you, Steve. I mean, I know you're pro Eddie, and you can absolutely see why. He won the first trophy for 70 years at St James's, and his track record so far has been absolutely first class. The type of football he's had playing. Who else is there out there at this moment in time that can actually do better than Eddie? Because I'm struggling to think of a manager
I'll
that's
put it out there. I know
time.
exactly who it's going to be. It's Michael Carrick.
It'll not be Michael Carrick. I think it's a question that Eddie Howe supporters can't answer. They can answer it, of course. They can say, "Oh, get Vincent Kompany in, get Mourinho in, get whatever in." But I mean, each of these managers that you need a manager who can work in the restrictions. You need somebody who can come in and say, right, okay, I'm not going to have £200 million a window to spend. You've got to get a manager who's going to come in and accept that, your best players, each year are going to be on for sale. And that money, yes, you'll be able to use it to go and buy somebody else. But, you don't make plans with somebody because they might not be here for longer than 2 or 3 years. So it is frustrating. There are managers out there, but it's just who would actually come in and be able to do the same job. It's interesting because, again, I mentioned this last week after John Gibson had mentioned it on my show. Jack Charlton used to say, once a manager hits 5 years, it goes stale, and you need a complete refresh. You need a complete reset. Well, Eddie's at 5 years, and it has gone stale this season, and maybe we do need a reset. You either change the manager or you change the players. Some of these clubs that get into the habit of changing managers, like Spurs, things go pear-shaped for them. And look what's happened. Yeah. Look what's happened with them. Yep. So maybe Newcastle need to learn a little bit from Borough, because Borough is probably out of the 3 clubs in the Northeast had a track record of giving managers more of a chance than the other 2. Sunderland and Newcastle maybe have been a bit trigger happy in the past, whereas Borough and Steve Gibson tend to give managers more of a chance. Yeah. So it's so tough. I mean, look, Eddie knows. It was interesting to hear Eddie talking about transfers. He held his hand up yesterday and said, the buck stays with me, with the players that have come in. But don't forget, he says, people tend to judge you on the bad players, or players that maybe don't make as much of an impression. Don't forget the good players we've bought. Yeah. So, that was a fair point. There's so much to digest from his press conference yesterday, but yeah, who could come in and do a better job than Eddie? Don't forget Kevin Keegan, the man who was probably held in high esteem alongside Sir Bobby Robson in recent years. He left after 5 years. He couldn't take the club any further. He decided when he went into that 5th season, got to January, we actually won an FA Cup game comfortably, and he was away. He just said, that's it, I've had enough, he's gone. Richard suggests Silva, Glasner, Areola. So, there's names out there. Simeone's been mentioned by some.
Steve Bruce fans. Is out of work.
Steve Bruce, good God, no thanks. But yeah, there's so many potentials out there, but it's who comes in, who comes in and who can follow Eddie. But yeah, it'll happen at some point, but I'm not sure whether it'll be this season.
It's going to be very interesting indeed. We have reached the halfway of the show for this morning on your Threeser Crowd. We have got a shorter show because Teddy Boy's got other commitments because he's so popular. So we do have to wrap it up early today. But we have got the halfway show. We've looked back. We're going to look forwards after the break. But it's time to sit back, relax, and have a bit of a laugh because it's time for Troll of the Week.
Grand National today. This bloke just asked me, do you want the winner of the Grand National? I said, no, thanks. I've only got a small garden. And eating instructions on this box of sandwiches, open flaps and munch. Yum.
Quite simple.
Well, it looks like I won't be helping with any more homework either, lads. Complete the opposite meanings of the following. Open, closed, over, under, oral. Anal. It's not clever, lads. It's not clever. Don't do that at home. And I put this on eBay this week, lads. It's a new arm wrestling machine.
Of course it is. Yep. That's exactly what I thought.
Yep. Love the buckets holding it up.
And has anyone else tried using WD-40 to get rid of mice? It hasn't worked, but it has stopped them squeaking, lads.
Oh, no. I like that. That's
today I gave my wife a taste of her own medicine. I took her into 10 different pubs, only to go back and buy a drink from the first pub we went in. And running into stationary objects can be painful, lads, according to a recent poll. Got another one of those lookalikes that you like? Freddie Mercury.
I'll come back to that.
And this is Sister Teresa, known for her high intelligence. She's better known as none the wiser. And Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece is white as snow. But Mary loves a curry, and the fleece is now a throw. Schindler's Lift.
Yep.
And a lady on Siddle wanted a private cut to make a pavement wider. All done and taken away. If you want a garden sorting or a tip run, please Facebook message me. I can price it for you. My God. Can you imagine getting your privet hedge done like that?
Jesus Christ.
I'd be so angry.
Last few, lads. When hashtags go badly wrong, Sue's anal album party.
Oh, my God.
And this Everton fan had a field day on this tweet. Guys, Slot is a great coach. Let's be patient and give him enough time to completely finish Liverpool. And finishing off with shirt of the week.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely brilliant. If you've got any tweets, send them to me, Ted or Rye, and we will feature them on Troll of the Week next week.
Absolutely loved it. Teddy Boy.
Freddie Mercury is legit, genuinely the name of a Freddie Mercury tribute artist over here in Ironapa.
Brilliant.
Legit. He's a big lad. He's a big lad. He's very funny. Very
would be.
But there you go. Yes. Yeah. Weird. When I saw that, yeah. Well,
does he like a curry, though?
I think he likes anything with carbs, pastries, curry pie. Yeah, he's a bit of a unit, this lad.
If it's edible, it's Freddy's.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, your morning breakfast show. We hope you're sitting down, enjoying your morning cuppa with us in your ears. I've got Steve Wraith and Teddy Mackham here dissecting everything that happens in the Northeast. Football, Sunderland, Newcastle, Middlesbrough, a bit of banter, a bit of laughs, and we cuddle it out at the end. Tune in to our extras for that behind-the-scenes footage. We've got a massive, massive weekend because Premier League football has returned, lads. Finally, we can say Sunderland and Newcastle United are playing football once again. 7 games to go. It's going to be incredible to see. Teddy Boy, I would be remiss to say that the whole nation, we spoke about this in the first half, would be watching Sunderland versus Tottenham, but even I will be tuning into Sunderland versus Tottenham just to see if Tottenham will absolutely sensationally go down under Roberto De Zerbi. His first game in charge comes up against the Mackhams, mate. It's going to be a tough old test because I think obviously there's no remit of what Tottenham are like under Roberto, but I think we can safely say that Regis wouldn't be too worried about that. I think he will just set out to play Sunderland's own game. It's a massive game and a massive chance to take 3 points. And unfortunately for Tottenham fans, it's a game that Sunderland would be looking at a simple 3 points.
I wouldn't go as far as a simple 3 points, mate. It's the Premier League. You're not going to sucker me into that one. Not a chance. No, listen, Regis will do exactly as you said, mate. We'll play our game. It's more of an occasion for Spurs than it is for us. Obviously, with the new manager coming in, his comments were strange. I thought for a manager coming in was kind of, he doesn't think himself any better than Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. So I'm thinking, well, Spurs fans must be absolutely loving that straight away. But I just don't see them stopping conceding goals. And De Zerbi's not one of those who sets out his team, pragmatic approach or anything like that. So,
no.
Yeah, I fancy us to get a result out of it. I don't think it's going to be as clear as that. The great thing for us is we're getting players back from injury. Robin Roofs is back into contention after his hamstring injury. We'll have Nordi Mukiele available, Reinildo and Enzo Lefebvre also available to start. There's two players, Romain Mundle and Bertrand Traoré. They won't make it now for the rest of this season, which is really unfortunate. Dan Ballard and Nilsson and Gulo, they'll be close to returning, but they won't be back for this game. They might make the bench. But yeah, he's one of these. We're sort in the Newcastle lineup. He will not risk players for further, worsening injuries, it's brave from a manager, to be honest, because it puts an enormous amount of pressure on the rest of the squad. But yeah, listen,
that's why you got a squad, though, isn't it?
Well, that's it. And having players of the quality of the likes of Mukiele and Reinildo, it's huge for us. And Lefebvre to start as well is just great. We have got a bit of a problem with the right side of midfield. I don't know what the solution will be there. Talby for me is better working on the left. Lefebvre for me is better as a central kind of player. So maybe on the strength of a couple of decent performances, could see Chris Rigg coming in to start again for that one. So I think he's done all right. He was industrious against the Geordies, and while there was not like he wasn't tearing trees up, don't get me wrong, but it was a good solid performance, playing out of position, this lad as well, bear in mind he's a central midfielder. It just so happens that there's a certain Granit Xhaka plays in the position that he does. So it's, good luck.
You've always got Pomeda.
No, we haven't. No, he's gone to a South American club somewhere on a free. Yeah. Big miss to the treatment room. Apparently. Yeah, he used to bring a lot of the question for Ted. Would you swap Debris? I guess that's Lebris. Would you swap Lebris for Howe? No, absolutely not. No, I would not. Listen, it depends on the kind of Spurs that shows up. I think Romero is back in the squad now after his suspension. So he's good for a red card.
He is. Correct.
He's a lunatic. He's an absolute lunatic. I wouldn't be surprised to see Spurs players losing their heads and end up down to 10 men. I've gobbed up enough about it. We're getting our squad back together again. We need to push on and just finish as high as we possibly can. Let's not think about Europe. If Europe happens, that's an absolute massive bonus. Absolutely. Yeah. Steve said it, beyond our wildest dreams of getting into a European place. But let's enjoy it. Let's try and get back into the top 10 for now. I think that'd be a great target. Listen, let's go for it. 2-1 Sunderland.
Oh, Stevie lad, Newcastle. We'll be coming up next. I just want to get your prediction quickly on Sunderland versus Tottenham.
I think it's got draw written all over it. I think Spurs will get a manager bounce because this is a manager, not like the guy who they've just had in for a few weeks. De Zerbi's had a bit of time to get his ideas across to the players. I think I'm watching a lot of the Sunderland games this season. The first half doesn't seem to do anything. Nothing seems to happen in the first half. Always seems to be 0-0. The second half's when the action happens. I think there'll be a goal apiece. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Sunderland will be happy with that. even though it's against Spurs, who at the moment are third bottom. But I think Spurs will just get a point on the road, something to build on. 6 cup finals for them. I don't think it's over for Spurs, but I think De Zerbi will have done enough this week to get something, to get a reaction from the team, certainly.
Well, lads, I didn't want to reveal this to you guys live, especially on the internet, but I wanted to let you know that I actually created a card that's exactly like Back to the Future. And I went to the future, and I know the results of this game is 3-1 to Sunderland, and Tottenham get a red card. So it's going to be incredible to show, and to when you guys are going to be like, hey, right, how did you know that? Well, I've just told you I had a card that went to the future. We've got to move on quickly because we're running out of time. Newcastle have Crystal Palace. It's going to be incredible, this one, because it's just going to finally show us, I guess not finally, but just sort of reveal to us, Stevie, how Newcastle are going to approach this run-in. Players back to Nali and stuff like that, but Crystal Palace away. Everyone is saying that maybe Glasner, obviously the current Crystal manager, manager, could be a potential replacement for Howe. I don't see that, but very interesting to see how you go in London against Palace.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've had a little bit of time to work on the training pitch, which is what Eddie wanted. He insisted that, half the problem that we've had this season is he hasn't been able to get the team playing together, the team training together. Sorry. In fact, he says it's the first time they've had 20 players training at Benton since August, which, if that is true, is mental, really, when you think about it. That is
incredible.
But look, you can't have excuses like that. Newcastle United, really have been in this position before. They should have been prepared for the Champions League, and this is a huge game, lads. It really is. Newcastle lose this game. The air of depression that surrounded St James's Park after the Derby match, and the exit from the Champions League, it just adds more fuel to the fire. We beat them 2-0 in January. We're looking for a double over them. First one since 2013, 2014. Positive news, well, Lewis Miley's back. Sven Botman's back. Sven will be wearing a mask, to protect the cheekbone that he damaged in the derby. The bad news is Bruno Guimaraes and Fabian Schär, who we were all expecting to be back, aren't available. So I think that's a big blow for Newcastle. I really had gone for... I was going for a win. I thought would narrowly get a win down there, but that's changed me thinking. Bruno's got mumps, which is awful when you get it as an adult. And Shaw has got another operation. He's got an infection in his foot. How he's got that, I don't know. But that means he's going to miss another month. Bruno's going to be sidelined for at least another 2 weeks, so he won't be back until the Arsenal game. Another thing that's hanging over us in this fixture is Joe Linton. He goes into the game on 9 Premier League bookings. Of course, if he gets booked today, he's suspended for 2 games. So part of me wants Joe Linton to sit on the bench and only get involved if he's got to. Another part of us thinks, well, he probably plays better when he's under this kind of pressure, when he's on the edge. So, Eddie will have to make that decision. But if he doesn't get booked today, of course, then all the yellow cards get wiped and he's safe to play the final 6 games. Palace are missing Eddie Nketiah. He's definitely not available. Evan Gessend and Czech Doucouré both face fitness tests. Of course, they won 3-0 in their first leg of the Europa Conference League quarter-final on Thursday. So their tails will be up. Their away form is better than their home form, though. They've just won 3 games at home in the Premier League. They have drawn 7, lost 5. But they've only scored 14 goals at home as well. So for me, that's second lowest only to Nottingham Forest. So this isn't going to be a high scoring game. I think the fact that we don't have that, the fact we don't have our playmaker in Bruno is going to have a big effect on us. But hopefully the training that Eddie and the lads have done over the last few weeks will benefit us. But I don't think it's going to be enough for a win. So I'm going to go for a Newcastle United draw with Crystal Palace. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at Palace.
Teddy boy.
Who did you say had the foot infection?
Fabian Schär's got a foot infection. He's happened to have an operation on it. Sounds really weird. Not sure what on earth that's about, but sounds like
if anybody was going to have one, you would think it would be Tornelli.
Oh, I knew you were setting it up. He was setting it up. He was sitting
I'm
there
not
with
even
a
sorry.
fishing rod.
You put Jimmy Hill up there. I'm not even sorry for the dad jokes.
I could tell he was
deal with it.
wrapping the worm on the hook.
Oh, God.
Anyway, well, very quickly.
Silence.
I know. I think I'm going to go same as Steve. To be honest, I think they'll get a point out of this. And I think to go down to Sellers Park this season, they're a bit hit and miss. Like you say, we got away with the draw there. I think they're kind of probably more concentrate the European games right now as well. Yeah, go on. I'm going to go ones each as well.
I'm actually, again, I used my DeLorean to go to the future and watch this one. It was absolutely incredible to read back on my sports almanac and actually Crystal Palace win this 3-0. It's absolutely incredible. And it starts the downturn for Eddie Howe as he wraps it up at Newcastle for Pep Guardiola's son, Leon, to come in and take over Newcastle at the start of next season. We've got Middlesbrough who play today, lads. You'll have to wait for Sunderland Newcastle to play tomorrow, but Middlesbrough will be playing today. They've got the 3 p.m. kickoff. It is against Portsmouth. It is at the Riverside Stadium. Expect the low block. Expect parking the bus. Expect the most gross football you've ever seen from Portsmouth, and Middlesbrough probably won't be much better. I am expecting Middlesbrough to come out firing. I think they will be absolutely fired up. Kim Hellberg swearing in his press conference yesterday, I don't think will leave any stone unturned, if not throwing the stones at some of the players. And I think they'll be just coming out fired up. I worry that it'll be coming out too hot. And I think there'll be some early challenges that might leave the referee deciding what to do. But I expect a very tough afternoon at the Riverside Stadium against Portsmouth. I'm not sure it's going to be as easy as people would want it to be, just because we're not firing and Portsmouth love the block. So I'm going to go a cheekies 1-0 to the Borough, because I just hope and pray that we can get the 3 points. But ugly games call for ugly outcomes, Teddy boy.
Well, HP isn't just a brand of monitor. It also stands for Hump Portsmouth. You're going to absolutely bury them 3-0.
Oh, Teddy boy. Hey. Oh my God, is that a cut?
Do you know what? I've got a tie very much like that.
That is you, Ted. That is you.
I was going to say, that is actually you.
It's the same figure and everything, isn't it?
Chippers did ask for it, so there you are, Chippers. We don't let our fans down.
Yeah, thanks, Chippers, mate. Yeah. Tune in again another time.
Steve, Middlesbrough taking on Portsmouth at home.
2-0 to Borough. Come on.
2-0 to the Borough. Come on. That's exactly what we'd like to hear. Well, Premier League football is back. Championship hasn't gone anywhere, but we have got 7 games to go in the Premier League, 5 games to go for Middlesbrough. That, unfortunately, is all we got time for, because Ted has got another podcast. He is quite famous in his local area, so we've got to get him on to...
Absolute lies.
Oh, is it lies? That's when he walks down the street in that pink tie. I tell you what, the ladies, Ted, you'll be shoveling my way. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if Sunderland can get a result against Tottenham, lock them into relegation at bottom 3. Good luck to Sunderland fans if you are going, and good luck to the rest of the nation that'll be watching that game. Newcastle have got a tough old test against Crystal Palace. Good luck to Newcastle fans who are on the edge of their seats waiting to see, will this be Eddie Howe's last hurrah? 7 games to go. Good luck to you and your team. And Middlesbrough fans, off to the Riverside Stadium today. Enjoy the game. Shout loudly. I will be there watching along as always with no broken monitors today. We fingers and pray. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've been Three as a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching us live. If you are watching it back, please consider liking and subscribing. Follow at NUFC Matters for Newcastle, at Invictus for the Borough, at Ted the Mackham for Sunderland stuff. And if you want cheeky tie photos, I've got them. DM me and I'll send them to you. I've got some real rowdy ones. And we will be back next weekend to dissect everything that happened this weekend in the return of the Premier League and Middlesbrough, as we do always, right here.
Are we doing an hour?
I said goodbye.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.